Hey guys, this is Joel from the Fincastle Pokemon Gym. Now all the hype right now is over the new Team Rocket set, and if you've watched anything I've done at all here, you can probably guess what I'm going to do today, and that is something completely different. Like I've said before, if you want the latest list from whoever decides such things, you surely know where to go. There's plenty of options. I think what I've got today has an interesting place in this ever-changing Pokemon world, and that is Iono's Bellibolt. Anything that has energy acceleration is always worth a look as far as I'm concerned. And honestly, the fastest, most consistent version of this deck is just the straight up Iono's Pokemon version. I'm not going to give you that list because you can find that anywhere. The Pokemon Company basically just gave you that list. But it draws well, it hits hard, and it's pretty bulky. And I think I know some ways to make that version pretty competitive too. Maybe look at that later. But today I wanted to present the version I've been working on, and still making slight changes to from time to time, but it really is just a card here, card there. I call this Raging Bellibolt, and that's using, of course, Raging Bolt EX. Now, Raging Bolt brings that one thing that the regular version of this deck does not have, and that is an attacker that can take those big one-hit knockouts. Iono's Voltorb can't get there, and it's nice that he is a single prize attacker, but it's hard to keep him around with all the sniping and damage counters in the game. Sometimes just putting him in play is just giving your opponent a free prize card, and that's never a good thing. But Raging Bolt EX is just big enough to take a hit, and if he stays in play for 2 turns, you're probably winning that game. Now there's lots of moving pieces to talk about, so let's just get to the list. If this is not perfect yet, I'm getting it pretty close. Let's just look at the Pokemon first. Now I've got 3 lines of both Bellibolt EX and Kilowattrel, so that you can get the same quick setup that the regular version has. And primarily I attack with the Bellibolt EX. His 230 damage Thunderous Bolt takes out a lot of the format. And of course he can't attack on consecutive turns, but as anyone who plays the regular version knows, it's pretty easy to bounce back and forth between 2 Bellibolt, as he only has a 2 energy retreat cost and Levincia Stadium, as well as other cards that I'll get to in a moment, let you get those 2 energies right back and just reattach them with his ability. Now the purpose of Raging Bolt EX in here is to deal with those who have HP beyond 230. And if you haven't played against it yet, Marnie's Grimmsnarl is easily going to take the place of Dragapult EX in the hearts of those who love playing decks like that. And the more you damage that Grimmsnarl, the more they can just move damage to your side. But if you can one-hit it, then it's just a big stage 2 that only does 180 damage and 30 to the bench, which is really not that impressive. The same goes for the other stage 2s. The one hit negates almost all of the tricks up their sleeves in those decks. Now, I did keep 1 Voltorb in here for any walls that the other guys in this deck can't get around. Now on to the items. I've used the phrase item heavy a few times casually in previous videos for decks that are not necessarily so. I say that because this is what item heavy looks like. You want to be able to burn through as many item cards as you can so that when you get to Kilowattrel and his flashing draw ability, you can draw as many cards as possible and continue to just keep on getting resources and especially energies when you need them. I think everything is pretty self-explanatory. The main cards of note here are Prime Catcher as my A-Spec, because it does let you reset Bellibolt's attack by switching it back to the bench, but also being able to chase down something that you can knock out for 230 damage is how you stay ahead with this deck. Now the other item card to look at is Energy Switch. I forget how long that card has been around, I think at least since Aquapolis, but it often goes forgotten for periods when it's not that strong. After updating my Okidogi EX deck and using it as a replacement for Dark Patch, I feel like it's a new card or something for some reason, but it's really just an old friend. But in here, it is how you power up a Raging Bolt in 1 turn, because you can't attach 2 Raging Bolt with the Iono's Bellibolt EX's ability, but you can rain lightning energies everywhere else and then just switch one up to a Raging Bolt when you need. Then of course you attach the fighting from your hand, and then from there you just release the hounds on whatever is in front of you. As you can see, the supporter lines are very simple. You can see there the 3 Levincia Stadiums. And with the tools, I generally attach the rescue board to a Kilowattrel to send up as a free retreater, especially when you're using Prime Catcher. And then there are also those 2 evolution TMs to help at the beginning of the game to just get you started. This is not a super complicated deck. which is why I like it and just the straight up version of it. But you do have to be a little more careful with the energy than in the straight up version of Bellibolt EX with Voltorb, because there's not as much to waste. But I love this variant. I love the concedes that follow on TCG Live when you drop your first Raging Bolt 3 or 4 turns into the game and surprise them with a big one hit. Speaking of that, I've got some interesting games to look at, so let's just get to it. This first one is against Slacking EX, definitely my favorite of all the ones I recorded. Didn't realize I wasn't even recording this thing until a couple turns in, so this is the point where I actually hit the record button. I've got a Voltorb charged up there. Just played an Arvin. I'm using it to get Earthen Vessel and a rescue board. Gonna get that board onto Iono's Kilowattrel, like I said in the setup of the video. That's where I like to play that. Use the Vessel to get 2 more lightnings down. Don't need that Iono because I'll be able to draw here. Actually, I'm not going to draw here. I'm just going to go ahead and take the knockout. I've got both Kilowattrel set up to be able to draw on my next turn. And my first prize gets me a Nest Ball. On their turn, they thought they were maybe going to take me out with a Rotom, but they go ahead and play the Evolution TM and get to a Pidgeot EX, which is very dangerous in this thing. I know it takes a minute to get to the Slucking. Back on my turn, I just get a couple items. That's one problem with this deck that I have noticed, is sometimes once you're set up, you can get a handful of items that you can't play. Kind of thinking about maybe getting another Superior Energy Retrieval in here, just so you have another way to discard a couple cards. I guess Secret Box is an option also, but I do like Prime Catcher. You can see I got Prime Catcher there on the draw. And this is probably my biggest misplay of the game, that Pidgeot is down and I got that Prime Catcher, so I got excited about knocking that out and prove why I was a history major instead of a math major. I catch it up and retreat my Kilowattrel back and find out that I've miscalculated and I'm an energy short, so I only do 240 damage. Very unfortunate misplay, because that would have taken me down to 3 prize cards left. They do come back up with that Rotom and take up my Voltorb. So back on my turn, I draw another Stadium. I'm going to burn these items and fail them just to get them out of my hand, because I don't have any other way to do that. I don't think I'm going to need these any further. My board is pretty much where it needs to be to either win or lose this game. I'll get that Pheasantipity down, a little bit extra draw power since I did just get knocked out. Go ahead and use Kilowattrel. Get that TM down just to get it out of my hand. Use Levincia. Get back 2 more lightning. I'm going to go ahead and dance those onto Bellibolt. And then we will retreat. Going to use Pheasantipity, see what we get. Get that boss. This will be the point where if I'd taken out the Pidgeot like I should have, then I could catch Pheasantipity this turn and knock it out, and I would just be 1 prize card away. I'm going to go ahead, because that Pidgeot gives them such power to pick whatever they want, even though it's almost knocked out. This is a massive overkill, but it's important to get it off the board while I can, and I get 2 prizes off of that one, and a Bolt and a Lightning Energy. And this is where this gets really frightening, is they get 2 400-pound gorillas in their room, and another Pidgeot EX, and get down a Duskull to show that they play Dusknoir as well. And they got that Boomerang Energy, so it just reattaches after the knockout. I'm going to attach my Lightning to Raging Bolt. Use Arvin to get that Superior Energy Retrieval. Go ahead and use that to try to thin my hand a little bit, get rid of that Squawkabilly finally. Get 4 lightnings back with that. We use Pheasantipity to flip the script, see what we get there. Go ahead and get this second Raging Bolt down. And then I'm going to use Bellibolt. Go and dance down these 4 lightnings that I just got back. And while I have Energy Switch in hand, I'm going to get one of those switched over to that second Raging Bolt, so he is ready to follow up. I'm going to have to use him twice now, unless I can get another way to catch that Pidgeot. Now I'll get a 2 more back with Levincia. Then I'm going to retreat. Use Bellibolt and dance these 2 down as well. Try to keep it spread around a little bit so they can't take out all my energy in one place. It's not going to really matter because I have to burn so much here to take this thing out. So burn 5 lightnings, get the 350, and knock out that first Slot King with a 1 hit. Down to 1 prize card. This game should be over, but again, nobody's perfect. Obviously made some mistakes in this one. The second Slot King comes up and one-shots my Raging Bolt. I just got to get a couple more energies in play to do with energy retrieval off the Arbin. Even though they did Iono me into just that 1 card, that was good to get that Arbin. So I got fighting and lightning back with that. We'll go ahead and use Bolt to put down the 1. We'll retreat, send up the Raging Bolt. And I've still got Levencia to burn. That's going to be enough to get that knockout. I'll get 2 there. I'm going to dance those down. I guess at this point I was a little bit paranoid about energy and math, so I'm going to go ahead and flip the script. Got that Night Stretcher. I can get 1 more lightning, which I did not need, but you make a few mistakes in a game, you have to be a little bit overly cautious. I'll get that one down. I think I can do something like 490 now, so can get the 1 shot again. Don't like to have to do over 340 more than 1 time in a game, but being able to pull it off twice with the Raging Bolt is definitely a good thing. I think it shows the strength of this deck. Despite the misplays, I get a win against a monster of an opponent. Now, I wanted to do just some highlights from some other matches, because some of these matches are really long. Not necessary to watch all of them. Wanted to come into this End Zorark match right after they did a snipe and took out 2 guys getting 3 prizes. Left me with a board where I don't have any energy in play, no Raging Bolt. I do have 1 in my hand. As you see, I just draw another Kilowattrel. I'm going to get that Raging Bolt down. I've got like 8 energies in my discard pile at this moment. So we're going to Super Rod first, and get a Fighting, a Lightning, and that Pheasantipity back in. Use Levencia to get back 2 of them. We'll get those into our hand. And then use Bellibolt and go ahead and dance those guys down. Get them both on Kilowattrel, so I can use those to draw. Play Arvin, see what else we have, and you can see I have nothing of any use. But I do have that Ultra Ball. I want to use that to be able to get Pheasantipity, so I'll get these other cards out of my hand that I don't need. Get that Pheasantipity, because that draw from that's going to be very important in this kind of scenario. I'm going to energy switch over 1 energy from Kilowattrel to Raging Bolt. I'll just have to be able to get Fighting into my hand. And just because I'm not sure how much I can get, I want to go ahead and target down this Peacharunt EX. And I want to take 3 energies to knock him out. He's only 190. I can do 210 that way. We'll draw with the first Kilowattrel and get 1 energy. And then we flip the script because we were able to Super Rod that all back in. I get that Fighting energy, which was the key part. I actually get more energy than I need, enough to have knocked out anything on their side. We'll use Bellibolt to dance those guys down. And then we will just knock out this Peacharunt for 3. I guess it does 210, more than enough. That's how quickly you can just set up a Raging Bolt and get a knockout, even if you're in a bad scenario. Against this Walls deck with Farafrig, Agripon, and Melodic, it's just mainly important to really identify which Pokemon you need to use to take out which one. The Cornerstone blocks anything with ability, so you have to take it out with Raging Bolt. Not hard to do. It's only takes 3 energies to do that. Melodic just blocks Terra guys. Not important in this matchup, but it will put you asleep, so you have to be careful of that. Then Farafrig will block a basic EX, so it blocks Raging Bolt. So you do have to set up 2 hits and use Bellibolt and Voltorb, or just a couple of Bellibolts to bounce back and forth and 2-shot him, especially if they do something obnoxious like put a Hero's Cape on him and make him 360 HP. I also see a lot of times when you play this that really just misplaying an energy on that side once or twice can really slow that deck down. I didn't have the energies to attack with that Farafrig, so they tried to trap the Raging Bolt. I just attached, energy switched up to it, and then I was able to retreat it and finish off the 2-hit that I'd already started with Bellibolt. So it's not a hard match, it is a very tedious match to try to work your way through. I had a couple of Archaludon EX games taped. I think there must have been some challenges in TCG Live that week that involved steel types, because I played an unusually high amount of them. I don't think I have time to show them and stay on target for the video, but they are just like these Stage 2 games. Most of them played out almost identically. You just have to take the one hits with Raging Bolt EX, else you play into their hands as they just try to outlast your resources. That's just how to approach that deck if you do come across that. But yeah, that's the deck. I think another superior energy retrieval needs to make its way back in here. I think I originally started out with 4, just like in the straight Bellibolt EX deck, and getting down to 1 is probably cutting it too far. I think with Super Rod in here, you can afford to probably just cut the stretcher for another superior energy retrieval. But that's the fun in tinkering with decks like this, is one card here, one card there. You can change it to however you like to play it. Real quick, this month's set of Appalachian Dim Sum Podcasts are going up, one each week, usually on Monday. This month we are focusing on the Blade Runner franchise, and we get pretty deep into that, so if that piques your interest, come join me and Randy over there. As always, thank you guys for watching. If you know people into the game that haven't checked out my content, direct them this way. I try to offer up something that you can't get elsewhere, and anything to help my reach grow is always appreciated. Get out there, play in person when you can, and keep the game fun. Until next time, be not afraid. Later.